Hello everyone, so I'll be doing my September wrap up. So in the month of September, I read 5 books, and these are all the books that my boyfriend picked out for me in a couple videos back. So let's get started. The first book I read was The Last Apprentice, Revenge of the Witch by Joseph Delaney. So this is about Thomas Ward, who is the seventh son of a seventh son. And so when he is forced to leave his home and make a career for himself, he goes and becomes the apprentice for old Gregory, who is known as the Spook. And the Spook's job is to rid evil in the villages. So when old Gregory leaves on a mission, Thomas Ward is tricked by a young witch named Alice to free a powerful witch. So now he has to stop this witch before he becomes like every other apprentice before him. So this is labeled as a young adult book, but I think it's more a middle grade series. This book had a lot of potential to be good, but it lacked depth. So I liked the idea of Spook and him teaching Thomas things, but they didn't really go into detail of it. So the story wasn't bad, I actually liked it, but I just wish they went more into it. So the next book I read was Invasive by Chuck Wendig. So this is a science fiction thriller book, and it's about Hannah, who is an FBI consultant, and she has to go to a secret island laboratory because someone is weaponizing ants, and the billionaire who works there is building similar technology. So she goes there to find a connection, but she discovers a much bigger threat. So overall, I liked this book. There were some good parts and there was some bad. It was your standard thriller book, so nothing stood out to me. So that's why I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I did like that they used ants as weapons because I never read a book like that before. And it is really fast paced. Once she hits the island, things move really quickly. So I did find it funny that when she confronts someone who is involved in it, the reason they give for it was this is just a small part of it. There's like a much bigger thing, so this isn't a spoiler. They said that humankind is awful, and they gave the example as haven't you ever read the comment section of a YouTube video? So I thought that was pretty entertaining. So the third book I read was Damned by Chuck Palahniuk. So this is about Madison, who's 13 years old and is the daughter of a Hollywood couple, and she ends up in hell after a night of smoking marijuana. And in hell, she's a telemarketer, and she's friends with a group of Breakfast Club type people. And in the end, her friends go on an adventure to confront Satan. So it goes back and forth between Madison telling stories about her life when she was alive to her life in hell. So I think this is one of my least favorite books that I've read by Chuck Palahniuk so far. There were some really gross parts to it, and it was just for shock value, which I didn't find appealing. So the fourth book I read was Deep Blue by Jennifer Donnelly. So this is about Seraphina, who's a mermaid, and she's the daughter of a queen. So on the day of a ceremony which is supposed to determine if she's fit to be ruler, the kingdom is attacked, and so she has to jump in and try to prevent war. So I liked this book. It was an easy read, and there were some corny parts to it, but that's to be expected when you're reading a YA book about mermaids. I really enjoyed that there wasn't really much romance. It was more about Seraphina trying to prevent war and getting these heroine mermaids together to stop the evil. So the last book I read was Blackbird by Chuck Wendig. This is the first book in the Miriam Black series. So this is about Miriam Black, who, when she touches people, she can see how they will die. And one night she meets Lewis, and when she touches him, she sees that when he's murdered, he calls out her name, and so this really freaks her out, and so she runs away from him, but she can't really get that thought out of her head. And when she runs away, she meets this con man, and he finds out her secret, and so he makes her join forces. And in doing so, a much bigger threat comes along. So I really enjoyed the character of Miriam Black. She does have a lot of baggage, but it has made her strong, and I like that she's witty and sharp-tongued. So throughout the book, there's this concept of fate that I really enjoyed. Like, can you prevent someone's death, or will fate intervene? Throughout the book, she's trying to tell people that she has tried to prevent someone's death. Like, she talked to this waitress that she saw was going to die in a car accident, but when she talked to her about the car that she was driving, the waitress suddenly remembers that she's always wanted that car, and she tells her, thanks for reminding me. And so it was always kind of fate that Miriam would talk to this person. So it's kind of interesting to see, can she stop fate? So I think overall my boyfriend did a good job at picking books. I think I would have never picked out any of these books, is probably except for Damned by Chuck Palahniuk, because I've read Chuck Palahniuk books before. But it's very interesting finding books that I would have never picked for myself. So I think it's good to kind of expand what I normally would choose, because then I might find really good books. So those are all the books I read in the month of September. So like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Bye!